Well, it's Monday night. It's 8 o'clock. You know what time it is. It's time to start your week off right here on Play for Keeps, the show on Nerd Initiative. My name, as always, is Off the Cuff Tom. And with me this week, I have a very, very, very special guest because we're talking about a franchise, a beloved franchise that I believe, if I do that math thing right, is turning 30 years old this year or 40 years old. I think so. Math, I don't know. I just collect toys. I don't do math. But yeah, with me is the better half of the Hops Geek News, the deep dive diva who gives you all the delectable delicacies of all the things that you need to know about the things. I have the one and only Lauren. Hello, Lauren.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much for joining me.
I love the
this
deep
evening.
dive diva name you've given me. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, it's the fact, like, you do like the best research. Like, I know I do my research for this, but what you sent me pales in comparison to what I do. And it's crazy. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know my stuff, but I'm looking at my off screen here.
I fall down a rabbit hole and it's hard to sometimes pull myself out. I just want to know more and more and more.
Completely agree. And I am the same exact way. So since it's your first time on here, as we always start off with, what did you pick up this week?
So this week, I actually picked up something I had been eyeing for a while, but it was one of those, I don't really need that. I shouldn't spend the money. And this week, I was like, you know what? I've wanted this long enough. I'm going to buy it. I was at Hollywood Studios here in Florida for my cousin's birthday, and we had just left the cantina. So I bought myself a little teeny tiny DJ Rex. And I love him, and he's adorable.
Now, just so you know, folks, this is a Droid Depot version of DJ Rex. I know we've had the Black Series version that came out during the dark times. And then there was also one done in 2009 when he was Captain Rex on Star Tours.
Yes.
I did do some research on that myself. I found that it does have a new paint applique. It does look like it is a little bit different there is a mold difference as well. And don't forget, folks, if you are a Star Wars collector, Droid Depot figures are usually done a little bit smaller than Black Series figures. So if you have a smaller shelf, this might fit better for you. Yes,
you can see this is in comparison to a 16-ounce Tervis.
As you would do the comparison on Hops Geek.
You compare it to that would be a pint glass then. But he's when I open him, he's more plastic than I thought. I thought he would be more metal, so he's a little more plastic. But he's a tiny little guy. I think I paid $15.
Okay, so so that scales, that fits. I myself, if you guys know, I've been following along with the Age of the Primes line on Transformers. I personally haven't shared any of the unboxings and whatnot because I've just been busy, especially with our Fallout giveaway that we're having on right now. But I finally picked up Solus Prime. I know this is one of the Wave 1 figures during the Age of the Primes, i.e. the girl Transformer. I hate to say that we're still at that point. Coming with her the forge, the hammer itself. The hammer is the forge and the forge is the hammer. Figure that out. That's some weird English in my book. And then anybody who happens to watch Transformers Earthspark on Paramount Plus, you would know this name very well. I have Solus Prime. That's right. Comes with his Ember Stone. And the fun thing is that unlike the other figures, he has a very ethereal form, as you can tell, very squid-like. So what they did is they made clear plastic for his legs, like completely translucent plastic. I love this. And the fact that the Ember Stone is integrated into his chest cavity as if it was like the Matrix is really interesting. So I really, really, really like this. And I have him playing off of Alpha Trion.
I like the colors.
Oh, it's a really great figure. And that's the one thing they're doing really well with the Age of the Primes line. The only thing that I haven't liked, and I finally found out that Vector Prime, one of our favorites from Transformers Cybertron, is going to be a reissue of the Legacy line one from about 1.5 years ago, but it is what it is. But yeah, that's the news that's going on with us in our ever-growing collections. But let's talk about what's happening in This just in, we are talking toy news. So yeah, so we've got two things really to talk about. Obviously, everybody knows I am a huge Power Rangers fan. And with, God forbid, no, The guy who
I had
literally
no
is driving
idea.
around. I'm literally driving around New York State with a license plate that says Megazord. Go figure. And we have photo evidence of this. So last year we had the Cullen Bunn Godzilla versus Power Rangers #2. I had the opportunity, had him sign on one of my covers at New York, which is interesting because everybody knows my collection of comic books, which we might talk about on here one day. I typically get either #1 signed, which is kind of cliche, or I get issues that have a sentimental value. So if you take a look, like up here, I've got my which one is that? Yeah, Power Rangers #10 by Ryan Parrott, because that's the one where we finally got Yale to turn into the blue Omega Ranger #2. And I remember reading that issue and I'm literally bawling when I'm done, because it was just such a good book. But yeah, so going back here, so we've got the Kaiju Rangers out by Playmates. If you take a good look, I'm going to zoom in here real quick. You'll see that this is a different type of boxes that we've seen so far coming out from the Reimagine line or Reignition line. This, I don't know if this is technically going to be considered what would be our new collector's pieces. And again, I'm saying this with a lot of question marks, but we also see that there's some like minis, like Dorbs. You see the Kaiju Zords as well. They look a little chunky. Will I get them? I don't know. It's going to see when they're on the shelf.
Is this supposed to be Mothra on the bottom? It's so cute.
Yep. So Mothra. So if you're not sure, the Kaiju Rangers in the story, the Rangers lost their powers to be able to use the Dino powers. So to stop Godzilla or whichever, Rita and Zed, and they were doing. Look, it's a Power Ranger thing. It's always going to be one of them. They did something. Sorry, I've read a lot of books since then. They were stealing powers out of the Godzilla multiverse. So how do you fight Kaiju? You become Kaiju. So they repowered themselves with other Kaiju. So, you have Rodan as the Red Ranger, Godzilla obviously as the Green Ranger, because that's what King Caesar was based off of, so on and so forth. Again, wait till we get in your hand. We'll see what we like. And then I think the big thing for all of us elder millennials and gamers and fans of Lego, we've got the new Ocarina of Time, the final battle set coming out from Lego. You can pre-order this right now. This is stunning. So not only does it come with the 2 minifigures that you see right now, there's also a 3rd minifigure of Ganondorf. So, and I believe that they're using the mech technology, so it should either hide inside the large Ganon figure, or it's, a useless piece sitting off to the side. I know as soon as I saw this, I was like, yes, I need this, considering the fact I did not have the opportunity to get the Deku Tree, which is beautiful. So this might be a good one for me. I didn't even play Ocarina, but I respect Zelda so much that I would get
one of the OG ones. It's up there with like Sonic and Mario.
Yeah, the only thing that I have always knocked for Sonic, if you know me, is that damn Sonic Transformer, because Transformers do not need boopable noses.
That makes me think of a clinker, like when you or the droids that you bop their nose and they just collapse.
Yeah, Roger. Absolutely. But no, you can go back and check our episodes before, whether it was during Cybertronian in September or when Mickey and I announced the original release of these collaborations that Hasbro and Sega did. And I didn't buy it. I mean, I like my collabs. You can see right behind me, I got my collab Transformers right there for all the 80s babies.
Under the
level. There is no Sonic at all. But we're not here to talk about my collection or Lauren's collection. We are here to talk about a beloved franchise. I'm getting in touch with my feminine side. That's why I had to have a better half of the Deep Dive Diva. We are talking about, why did that come up? It's not supposed to be. That's not supposed to be.
I mean, it is another elder millennial thing.
It is. We're talking about American Girl, featuring Lauren.
Featuring me. Yes, American Girl. I fell in love at a very young age with American Girl, and I know I'm not the only elder millennial that did. But yeah, when you invited me to come on or talking about toys, I was like, this is something I had always loved. I didn't get one till I was an adult. My parents always told me they were too expensive and then bought them for my daughters. But then last Mother's Day, you can see I got my Kirsten doll finally, courtesy of my husband and my middle kid. They got me that for Mother's Day, and I love it. She's so pretty. Look how pretty she is. So that's what I got. Do you want me to break down my Deep Dive Diva work at this point?
Well, we can go through it as we go.
Okay.
Beautiful. Hi, Kirsten. Hi, Figment Popcorn Bucket. Look at all that wonderful stuff.
Yes.
You even have the bag on the wall. See, she knows how to prep and plan this stuff. I love it.
Even the bag's pretty.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
So, what happened in 1986?
So in 1986, this is when the company actually started. So it was founded 40 years ago this year. See, I keep doing that bad math too because I keep wanting to think the 90s is maybe 20 years ago, but
Right?
apparently that
That's
was
what we
30
do.
years. Yes. So when you said 30 years, it made me laugh because that was where my head went as well. But as a woman of my age, yes, it was 40 years ago. So in 1986, it was started by a woman named Pleasant Rowland, who you can see in this picture. She wanted to create a company for and about girls where stories were told throughout history and the books and the toys could be shared with girls. That is why each girl has a book or a series of books. A trip to Colonial Williamsburg is actually what inspired her to make them historical. And you can see they all come with meet their character. Oh, it's a little washed out here. But there's Meet Kirsten and I have Meet Samantha here, and they all have a Christmas special and a different Samantha Saves the Day special and all sorts of stuff. They're fantastic books. So Rowland was an educator and had saved $1.2 million in textbook royalties, and that is how she invested in her company. She put aside $200,000 just in case she failed, but she was very confident that this was a successful idea. Many doubted her, thinking that historical dolls could in no way, shape, or form compete with Barbie, which is very hard. Barbie is awesome. Now, the first three that you can see rolling with in this picture, these are the OG dolls. That's Molly McIntyre from the 1940s, Samantha Parkington from 1904, and the best one of them all, Kirsten Larson from the mid-1800s. Well, each of them has some terribly tragic crap happen to them, and there's a hilarious SNL skit about it. They're still fantastic stories, and they keep these girls relatable. Because, I remember being 8 and reading about Samantha, who had a very rich grandmother in the early 1900s, but she was a tomboy and she would get yelled at for ripping her tights because she was climbing in trees, and grandmama wasn't going to like that. And so,
darling, seriously, we're having tea on the veranda.
Probably sounded like that. That's kind of how I read her in my head.
Yes, it's lovely.
But yeah, they were still, little girls, and throughout time, kids will be kids if they're allowed to be kids. And so it was really cool to get to learn a bit of history. And I'll go into that in a little bit too, of how much work they put into it. But those were the first three. Those are the OGs. And then we gained a few more OGs before it just went berserk. Yes. So these are the other OGs. In 91, we got Felicity from 1775. Then in 93, we got the first African-American doll. That's Addie. And then Josephina was added in 1997, and she was the first Latina American girl doll. So these six are the OGs, with Kirsten, Molly, and Samantha being the absolute goats. They were all 18 inches tall, and the target market was girls 8 and up. When they first came out, they were about $65 each. So keep in mind, in the 80s, they were $65 each. So these dolls have never been cheap, hence why I didn't get one until about 2 years ago. And today, the newer dolls released for about $135. This does come with a book. However, mine was $175 because it was a redo of the OG in her original outfit.
Yep. And just so everybody knows, if you take a look, this is the 35th anniversary release. Nice picture of it. So we could all take a good look at them. I find that interesting. You said that the figures are about 18 inches tall. So not only that, they were probably the largest girls figures out at that particular time. And I'm going to say girls because this was the 80s. We definitely had the line down in the middle of our Toys R Us where you had boys' toys and you had girls' toys.
Oh, we had the pink aisle.
But a lot of other brands at about that time, I think the only exception I would say is maybe Kid Sister, even Cabbage Patch dolls.
Kid Sister and me.
Exactly. That's
Buddy. They had Buddy too.
Yep, my buddy.
Yeah, my buddy.
And then the Good Guys. Oh wait, wrong franchise. But everything around there, like Cabbage Patch at most was 16 inches. So even still, that extra 2 inches really made it bigger. It sat on your shelf. It was more detailed. I mean, these are stunning figures. I dare call them dolls. They are figures. They are, the fact that you had all the beautiful soft work done on them, the stitching, the clothes, like these are labors of love, and you really want to cherish them. And seeing while doing my side of the research is like, these are cherished. Like these are not one of those, oh, here you go. I'm not sure love
No.
you're just
Yeah.
darling every single one of them.
No, yeah, they're special. I mean, they're obviously a little bit more special to me because I didn't get one at the height of me wanting one. I'm not bitter.
Emotional damage.
It was like going to New Kids on the Block concert. I never got to go to that growing up either, but I went in my 20s and it was like, check that off my like therapy to-do list.
I still have one band personally, but I'll tell you off air.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like you were saying, they put like a ton of work into these dolls, and it's not just the actual doll, it's the story behind them. So they're very, very historically accurate, and it's not simple enough. Like you would think, oh, it's just the demographics, 8-year-old little girls and up. It doesn't need to be that serious, but it really is. They have a whole team of historians, educators, and museum creators and linguists to work on each launch. Often they do trips to the home state of each doll because they all are American Girl dolls. Look how pretty those books are. Like, don't you just want to read all those books? Ugh, I love them. And those are the original covers because then they came out with different covers for the stories. And then they learned to just go back to the original because nobody wants you to redo perfection. But so one of the really cool things is, so Kaya, so she took extra time and attention. So she's actually their first Native American girl doll. I like you have the money signs and the eyeballs. That was cute. So Kaya, they took over 5 years to develop this girl. So she's, like I said, she's a Native American girl and she's from 1764. She was released in 2002. American Girl got special permission from the Nez Perce tribe to create her. And they worked with author Janet Shaw, who wrote her story, because they wanted it to be as accurate and respectful as possible. The American Girl dolls are known for their little front teeth and their 2 front teeth and show. Like every doll, you can even see it in Kirsten. She's got the little teeth sticking out. Kaya does not. And this is because in that culture, it meant like aggression to be showing your teeth a little bit. So they actually did a whole separate face just for her.
A whole new mold. Cool. That says a lot. Now, considering the fact Kaya was done in a little bit later, 2002, there were some brand changes. So definitely having some factory changes, unless, that's a whole bunch of back end stuff. But the fact to come out with a different mold is always an arduous process, especially when you have such a very well-known brand. But that's really interesting. And the fact that they took their time and care and the attention to detail to that shows again a lot. This is not about the clothes, like, the Barbie, business model of, hey, here, we're going to sell you a figure for $9 and then get you on the back end with the next, 40 years of little tiny soft goods.
Well, yeah, they did take advantage of that later when they started making different dolls. But yeah, with the historical ones, yeah, definitely.
But that wasn't in the original business model. It was when something else got their stamp and seal on it, if you catch my drift.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like you said, it's how much?
Yeah, brand new doll now, not the OGs. If you want to go and get like, I don't know, don't quote me on this, but like if you want to go get like a Kit, she's from the Depression era, be like $135.
But she's from the Depression era. Can I get a discount?
You think so? Yeah, right. And her clothes are made out of potato sacks, and you still don't get a discount.
Seriously. I'm actually on the website right now, just looking.
So they do offer different dolls, and like I have that in the notes later. Like they've come up with other things, like they do mini dolls. The Disney. Welly Wishers are a little cheaper, so they have different ones that they offer now. It's not just the main go-to 18-inch dolls, but those ones are the best.
Disney, Truly Me, Girl of the Year, historical characters.
So Girl of the Year. That's actually kind of cool. And so the Truly Me is exactly what it sounds like. You can just go and be like, oh, my kid has brown hair and green eyes and, they play clarinet and they play soccer, and you can get all the accessories and customize the doll to look like you. And they do all sorts of things too. Like they have different ethnicities, they have wheelchairs, they have ones wearing religious garments, they have amputees, glasses, hearing aids, crutches. They have dolls with no hair, they have dolls with inhaler, a diabetes kit, and more. So they've really taken it to like, I don't want to say the extreme by any means, because it's not the extreme. They've taken
inclusive level
to make it inclusive. Absolutely. And I think they've done a really good job of that. The only thing they are not inclusive about is people who can't afford these dolls. So, but again, I love them, but they are very expensive. And so is going to the restaurant, even though it's magical. Like Rumpelstiltskin said, All magic comes with a price.
Now, that's because what happened also in 1998 at A Price itself. Ta-da!
Mattel bought the company. Who actually owns Barbie? So now the company that the owner was competing with, which I feel like that is truly like a commercial like dream. Like that's your goal when you start a business, even though it's not, because you say you want to stay small and you want to serve the community. But in the end, you want to sell to your giant competitor that you never thought you would equal to.
And that doesn't happen very much, especially back then. I mean, especially again in the pink aisle to see all that stuff acquired. I mean, all I got to say is Hasbro till all are one. I mean, Hasbro started off, they bought Kenner, they've bought Transformers, Power Rangers, Star Wars. I mean, I can go down the list. Centurions. There's so many franchises. Mask, G.I. Joe are all under the house of Hasbro now. They were done by so many other companies. But yeah, the fact that, you know, what they set out to do to come in to finally become acquired by Mattel, and then with the retooling, because you said that, you know, not only did they do Kaya's retooling differently, but once Mattel came in, the design of the figures changed as well.
Yeah. And so, yeah, they made them almost a little bit more Barbie-esque, which I don't know that that's something you needed to do. But again, Mattel seems to know what they're doing. So before the company was bought, they had a little bit chubbier faces. They had less color in their lips and cheeks. They had larger feet and chubbier body shape with no thigh gap or butt. Like, we didn't really need to make, I mean, they're still not exactly like, they don't really have figures or anything, but I don't know why they needed to do that. They're supposed to be like 11-year-old girls. But I don't know. They still look awesome. And over the years, the OG dolls have been retired, re-released with new Horde outfits, which I blame Mattel for that one. But then in 2024, Addie, Kirsten, and Josephina did return with special edition birthday outfits and their classic books. And these were first published in 93, 86, and 97, respectively. They re-released the books' feature updates to language and imagery, including additional resources that help the readers understand each era better. So that's pretty cool. That's a direct quote from the website. This is actually when my childhood wish was fulfilled, thanks to Brielle and my husband, is when they released these dolls in 2024. Best Mother's Day gift ever. And you can see, so this was the Kirsten book I bought for Kaylee, my oldest, I think in 2008. And then this is the original. So this was the first one. And then they changed them to these covers. Or actually, this is the Meet Kirsten, to these covers and then back. Again, don't fix perfection. Just keep it. If it's perfect the first time.
It ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly. We didn't need this. We just needed the simple Meet Kirsten. That's all.
Well, as consumers, we don't like, you know, things really have changed. Sometimes simple doesn't cut it, but that's commercialism for you folks.
Well, I think they knew that re-releasing these was targeting me, whether I'm buying it right for myself or I'm buying it for my child. I think, and I mean, we're seeing that with a lot of these toys now. We're going back to old school Rainbow Bright and old school Strawberry Shortcake. Like even the My Little Ponies, they made them look weird for a little bit. And then, you know, we're starting to see some of the My Little Ponies I had come back. And the parents are more likely to buy it if they get that sense of nostalgia too. So
are we going to have a My Little Pony episode?
I don't, you know, I was a fan of My Little Pony, but actually my son was a bigger My Little Pony fan than I ever was. So I don't know that I could deep dive My Little Pony. Plus I can't get that.
I got a brony on call. I really do. Love you, Justin.
But I like Moondreamers, but not many people knew about that.
Like that was good. Or it's like when Mickey and I did the Care Bear episode, right? That was great. But you know what we really went on a rant about? The Care Bear cousins. Much cooler.
I honestly was a bigger fan of like Ninja Turtles back then than I was like Care Bears or My Little Pony or anything.
But I could pull an episode on My Little Pony. Anyhow, but what else happened in 1998? Now, this is where the numbers get a little fuzzy because we both did our research and I couldn't find specific dates. But also in 1998, they came out of catalog ordering to brick and mortar.
Yes, the actual brick and mortar stores. So yeah, I used to love getting the catalogs. They had the catalogs until a couple years ago. Now, obviously, it's all on the website. But so I've been to 3 of them. So New York was the one I went to, and then they started to explode a few years ago. There's now one here in Orlando. There's one in Miami. So they're all over the place. And the stores aren't just
no.
What'd you say?
In tourist destinations?
I know.
No.
Shocking. Yeah, Florida malls where it's at ours, and they have like Crayola in there and everything. But what's cool about these places is I don't know if it's all of them, but the ones I've been to, you don't just go in and shop. It's a whole experience. They have all these adorable, cute setups, and you can walk around. You can bring your doll, and there's a doll hospital. Like if Kaylee paid $5 when we were in New York to have her doll cleaned, and they cleaned her face and brushed her hair, and they make them look all cute with like little cucumbers on their eyes. And if a doll gets damaged, you can get the doll fixed there. And they also have restaurants. You can do tea time, which is going to be cheaper than doing a meal, or you can do breakfast. So there you can see the little doll with my husband weirdly photobombing in the background that Tom did. So it's a whole experience to get to go. And when you go, you can't just leave time for one thing. Like you want to utilize a lot of time if your kids are into it. And you can see like my middle kid is the one in the middle, the youngest, she got Bitty Baby. So if your daughter's not ready for a $135 doll, Bitty Baby is a bit cheaper, and it comes with a book that's more targeted for her. It's a younger book that you can read to her. And so that's your gateway. And then the one my daughter Kaylee is holding, you can see, is actually named Kaylee and came out the year she was born. So I found out about that doll when I was in New York in 2008. I dragged my husband through 3 flights of the American Girl store when it was just the 2 of us, found the doll, found an employee, and was like, I was in law school. I didn't have any money. I was living off student loans. And I was like, I don't care how much this doll is. I need it. Where can I buy it? And my daughter's a Kaylee. There's a million ways to spell Kaylee. And that doll actually spelled Kaylee, and it was blonde with blue eyes like my daughter. And they're like, it's not for sale. It's the Girl of the Year doll. So every year since like the early 2000s, they release a doll and a book, and she gets one book and of course all the accessories. This Kaylee doll is from California. She loves the ocean. My daughter's from Florida, loves the ocean. So I found her on eBay, and then we went back to New York and she took a picture there. But I was like, I don't care what. And fortunately she loved the dolls, and she ended up getting a couple more from my mom, who never bought me any, but that's okay.
So what you're telling me is when I'm done this, I need to go and send this link to your mom. So
No, because my mom will go and buy me a doll now, and she doesn't need to do that.
Yes, she does.
She's heard me say this before, because she wanted to buy my son Logan a doll because they came out with a Logan doll the year he was born. And of course, that angered the middle child because they didn't come out with a Brielle doll the year she was born. But I was like, Mom, you're not buying the 1-year-old $150 doll or whatever Logan cost. And I'm like, you never even bought me a doll. She's like, I'll buy you a doll right now. What do you want? And at the time, Kirsten wasn't out. And I'm like, she's not out anymore. You can't even buy it for me. And then she came back out, but my husband beat her to it. My mom doesn't need to buy me $150. My mom will buy me whatever I ask her to buy me at this point, but she doesn't need to be doing that.
Now it is called the American Girl line, but when was Logan? I believe Logan was the first boy in the line, and that was released in
2017. Yeah. I think he was the first boy. I don't ever remember there being another boy, and I want to say he got a book too. I kind of figured it was one of those things I would revisit when he was older, and then I did not see him there last time I was there, so he might be discontinued at this point. They don't keep all the dolls always.
So he was first put out in 2017. He was retired in 2018. And interestingly enough, since you were talking about it, the whole mouth thing, he uses the same Kaya mold as well. So he doesn't have the little smile going on.
Well, maybe all he wants for Christmas is his 2 front teeth.
Hey, I can relate to that. Bougie pizza.
But I believe he came with another doll. It was like her friend. So I think they had like some storyline together. But yeah, the 1-year-old little boy didn't need an expensive toy. He was just going to, I had to tell my dad this year, he's 8 now. I'm like, please don't buy Logan any expensive toys. He will just destroy them. So he bought him one of those dogs that you like control with an app on your phone. It like made an appearance in Loki, and like Logan sat on it and broke it like immediately. So
we have one family member at Christmas. We jokingly now buy him the cheapest drone possible, because for 3 or 4 years running, we would open it, and within 5 minutes of walking outside, it is shattered in a tree.
Oh no. I think we lost like the first drone we ever had. Just took off and never came back.
So now that your kids are a little older, what are their feelings about their American Girl dolls? You know, are you just the keeper of the American Girl dolls, or, you know, if you called one of the girls up and said, hey, what do you think about this? Do you still have this memory? Do you, you know, is it still a cherished and beloved thing?
So, so for Kaylee, my oldest, I definitely do. However, she has since moved out and she left the dolls here because her boyfriend is scared of them. So she does not want to get rid of them, but they are actually, I'm in her room now. Her room has been turned into the podcasting room. So her dolls and all of her accessories are under the bed. As far as some of the stuff, I do not donate any of the American Girl doll stuff. It goes in my friend group or it gets held for grandkids. Like I had the double stroller and I just gave it to my friend Brandy because she's got a little girl and it was like adamant, like this stays within family and close friends. Brielle, I mean, Kaylee loved it. She got really into it. I read the Kaylee book with her, and then she read a bunch of them on her own. So she was reading them. And, you know, I was telling you the story before we started recording. When we took her to New York, she realized she forgot her doll as we're going to have breakfast, and she starts crying. My husband runs back to the hotel as fast as he can to get the doll and made it back in time for us to have breakfast. Because when you go to the cafe, they have little like high chair things that stick to the table that you put your doll in. It's adorable. There's actually a funny skit with that too. I think with Travis Kelce at the American Girl store by himself with his dolls.
Oh God.
It's a funny SNL skit. But what was really funny is my husband he didn't run into some guy. He saw some guy in the subway and the guy was like teasing him about having the doll. Like, oh, is that your doll? And like 5 hours later in the subway again or walking around New York, he ran into the guy. And the guy goes, hey, where's your doll, man? And he's like, I told you it was for her. See?
Wow.
So it created a fun little story, but I think Kaylee will keep them and I think she'll pass them on to her kids. Brielle was very into it. She wanted all the accessories. She has hers just under the bed at this point, but she doesn't want to get rid of them. She has Kit and she has Bitty Baby.
That is awesome. Does Bitty Baby have a name?
It's just, she just calls it Bitty Baby. That okay. You could name it, but it was always Bitty Baby. And she used to carry Bitty Baby around everywhere. And then when I had Logan, she had a little carrier that she put Bitty Baby in. So she was, yeah, they both got into them. Not as much as I did. She never wanted to read them, but she enjoyed them. She enjoyed playing with them.
I got to say, doing this, I was really impressed. I always thought that these were just expensive for the sake of, you know, hey, we're making a high-end figure or a high-end toy for kids. And then finding out that, you know, the time and effort that these dolls, for lack of better words, that they take and put into them to be historically accurate, to be something that someone can relate to, really means a lot. And, you know, I love you, my sister, but I ain't buying you one of these things.
Oh, they're expensive. I wouldn't.
Okay.
I was.
And I don't mean you, my sister.
My husband, just in general. Oh, was your sister American Girl dolls?
No, I would be dumb enough and go just send her one randomly because I love her that much.
Well, so the books were readily available. Like you could buy them at bookstores everywhere. So I had read all the books. And so it's kind of like when you fall in love with your favorite comic book character and now you want the action figure. So it really was like that. I didn't fall in love with the doll and then, you know, want the books. I fell in love with the books and the characters. And because, you know, like growing up obviously in the States, once you've been here for so many generations, you not lose sight, but you just don't know your heritage, so to speak. Right. And so they have different dolls that you can kind of connect with that. And one of the reasons Kirsten was my favorite was the only heritage I can trace back to Europe is Danish. And she's got some, because she's Scandinavian, she has certain traditions and kind of things that I'd be like, oh, that's what my Bestima would do, or that's similar to what my Bestima, which is grandma in Danish. And so that was kind of cool as well, because you can kind of like, as a Dane, my dad just holds on to like any Viking. So any kind of Scandinavian anything, we kind of are like, hey, that's our heritage. So that made it, and like there's different ones, whether no matter what country you're from, but a lot of different countries are represented in American Girl dolls.
And then also there was the access that you could get with the American Girl movies that I think that they were done with Julia Roberts' production company.
I didn't know
Films. That. Yep. First one was Felicity. Actually, no, the first one was Samantha, American Girl Holiday. Then we had Felicity. Molly was in that. In number
the Kit
3.
one was really big because it was.
Yep.
It was like a legit actress. I forget what her name is, but she's gone
Abigail
on to do a bunch of stuff. They came out though later, so it's like the only ones I watched were ones I watched with the kids.
Yeah, that would have been 2008, but they've had other ones in 2009, 2012, 13, 14, 15. It's still a thing. And even Amazon ran a series in 2016 too.
Oh, see, I didn't even know that.
Yep. It's pretty darn interesting. Like, would you think that maybe even you could call the American Girl thing a subculture of the doll collectors community, or a particular niche specifically?
I think it's definitely a particular niche. I think you could call it that. I mean, I never really consider, like, somebody who's a doll collector, I always consider the creepy ceramic dolls in that regard. I don't think of those dolls.
What do
But
you
then
mean?
again, Kaylee's boyfriend Sergio is terrified of the American Girl dolls. So, well, and Kaylee used to decorate them for the holidays too, because we had a bunch of, like, I have a silhouette, so we would make custom clothes. So if you do buy one of these dolls, whether it's especially if it's for your child, and you don't want to buy the expensive accessories, Walmart, Target, like all these stores have clothes for 18-inch dolls. I had a silhouette, so I would buy like the cheap clothes at like Michael's or Joann's, and then I would silhouette, like I had Jack Skellington put onto a green dress, so she had a holiday dress and stuff like that. So there's all different things you can do, and Kaylee would dress them up for each holiday. And then we had Rebecca was my nieces, and Kaylee inherited her, so she would get dressed up for Hanukkah. So there's a lot of, if you get the doll, you don't have to have the expensive accessories, even though they're super cute and so freaking adorable. It's hard not to want to buy them all.
And that also goes to the replayability, whether it's for the kid or for the kidult like Lauren, who just wants to decorate them all up for the holidays.
They're so cute. I do.
And speaking of replayability, folks, if you're enjoying everything that we're doing here on Nerd Initiative, we always got to remind you to make sure that you hit that subscribe button, you whack that bell to get all your notifications, and then tap that thumbs up to let Michael know that we're doing our job and we're doing it well. Again, Lauren, thank you so very much for taking the time and sharing not only the amazing information about American Girl, but also your own personal story and history with it. That's the big key thing of why I really enjoy doing Play for Keeps, is to be able to get to interact with folks, especially when it's a franchise that they love.
Well, thanks for letting me geek out about American Girl doll. Who would have thought 35 years ago when I got into this, or probably was 35 years ago, that I'd be doing this.
My back hurts from saying that. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
And just in case, if anybody has not had the pleasure of seeing you here on Play for Keeps, obviously, where can they find you?
Well, you can find me every Wednesday reviewing comics on Nerd Initiative. I do random videos for nerdinitiative.com as well, so you can find them here on this YouTube channel. But I'm also, like you were saying, half of Hops Geek News. We're at Hops Geek News everywhere. And we drink craft beer and we talk all sorts of nerdy things. I do not talk American Girl doll on there. I don't think Matt would love that. But yeah, we talk all sorts of things. We talk Disney movies this week. Next week, we're talking Wonder Man. So we're all over the place.
That's right. And as far as me, you can find me right here on Nerd Initiative on Monday nights, on Wednesdays with all the comic books. Don't forget, we've got and then coming up, because we now started a new season of Star Trek, there will be the Star Trek reviews coming out. But more importantly, with our Fallout reviews out, we are still following the rest of the Fallout figures from Dark Horse Direct. So please make sure that you're following along on all of our socials. We do have a contest going on, and on the season finale, I didn't say series, I didn't say that, season finale, we are going to be giving away a Cooper Howard figure. So make sure that you are following on all the socials and follow all the rules. They're right on there. It should be right at the top of the socials. And aside from that, as a very, very wise man once said, be kind to yourself and be kind to others. And make sure that when you play
for keeps.
Yeah, I'm out.